That's the thing is like none of this is coming from a care for trans youth. What it's coming from is what if these youth turn out to be not really trans? That is a largely fictitious population. Like they're just saying, what if theoretically some of these kids turn out to be not trans? Generally speaking, these stories cannot even find children who regret transitioning. A lot of times when they're quoting so-called detransitioners, they will quote people who transitioned as adults and then say, well, I regret transitioning as an adult. So can you even imagine doing it to a child? But they like,
which is like me taking skating classes and being like, wow, I can't imagine doing this as a child. And it's like, yeah, it's actually a lot harder when you're 35 because children are gummy and they have very low centers of gravity.
Totally. Which I think would be more terrifying to them, right? It's like, oh, these children are so gummy and we're making them all trans. But like, I mean, again, they're like so focused on this regret. And I hate to like throw statistics because no one cares. But I just think it's like really important.
I care.
I was going through peer-reviewed journals, right? Like this is not like pop crave. This is like actual science. About 1 in 5 people regret their total knee replacements. 1 in 5 people regret their gastric band surgery. In fact, the average regret rate across all surgeries, if you just average the concept of surgery, the regret rate is about 14%, 1 in 7. The regret rate for gender-affirming surgeries is, depending on the study, between 1% and 0.1%.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing to write all of these stories about this population that mostly doesn't exist? I mean, even not just surgeries, like, you know, almost 10% of people say they regret having kids. Like the majority of people say they regret their student loans.
We got to do more headlines about that kids thing.
Well, yeah, it's just like 1 in 10 people versus 0.1% of, and then not just trans people who have had surgery. So it's like 1/3 of 1% and then 1% of that. You know, like, why are we running front page stories on this? But it implies this urgency and this prevalence. There's also even the New York Times' own coverage. They were trying to talk about teens who get top surgery, right? And they could only find like numbers in the low 3 digits of teens who have had top surgery because it's actually not very common in teens. If you think about cis girls, they're getting breast reductions at the rate of like almost 5,000 a year and implants at the rate of more than 3,000 a year. But we're not putting that on the cover. We're talking about the teens who got top surgery.
Yeah.
You know, we're not talking about the 30,000 kids a year that are getting rhinoplasties, like nose jobs. We're talking about the top surgery. It's just this fixation. And I think it is truly because cis people cannot imagine what it would be like to be trans